Welcome back to our sexy maid. We are going to color it this time, and I thought I'd try a new technique. So this will be the first time I'll be coloring it this way. So make sure your line layer is on top and set to multiply. Already you can see I'm adding some color. I'm setting up a nice wash so that I have some value and color to work with instead of just white. I use a big old fat brush and I try to make it look colorful, kind of watercolor-like. Then I'm hinting at some base colors. You want it to be kind of dark because we'll be working from dark to light. Now here I'm beginning to add some local colors. These are the neutral colors, kind of like unaffected by light. If you were to look at the object, what color is that object? I wanted to punch the colors out a little bit more, so I made them look a little more vibrant. Here I begin to add some lights for the face. I use the eyedrop tool, select a color on the skin and choose something brighter from the color you chose, or lighter. Constantly use the eyedropper tool to go back and forth in colors that you choose. Patch in those colors with a hard edge brush with a low opacity, and you can click through your opacity without having to select through it by just clicking your number, the numbers on your keyboard. So 3 for 30%, 9 for 90%. Here I'm softening up those lights. So throw down the colors and don't be too worried about how patchy they are. You can always soften them up later. It's a faster way to work. Okay, so when you're building your lights, think of every object as a ball, and you're working the lights in from the center of the object out, and it fades, it weakens as it moves out. In this case, the light is coming from the top, so what's the center? The center is where the light is the strongest. So from that point, you work your way outwards. You gotta think in 3D. Wherever the light doesn't hit is in shadow. So from here, I've basically got all my colors down. I'm just adding in a few more colors that need coloring for color vision. Create a new layer and adjust all your colors on that separate layer so that when you turn it off, you can see it look kind of messy. Turn it on, it looks a little more tight and cleaned up. Clean up by keeping all the colors in their respective places. So wherever it's bleeding out, just move the color back and forth using the eyedropper tool. Softening edges because everything looks all patchy. You can select from the surrounding colors and soften those edges. So as I'm cleaning up, I'm adding in cast shadows, so like really hard edged lines for the shadows. This is the refining stage. Working in some highlights for the eyes. Trying to figure out where the light's going to be coming from. That's a tricky thing to work with. I'll talk about that later in more detail. Just the underlighting from the nose, very subtle. pushing and pulling shadows, trying to figure out where I want the shadows to lie. I'm adding in some more lights. See, as you can see, it was sped up a bit. All I did there was I softened all the edges, all the colors that I laid down. Adding in some last highlight details. These are the last final lights. For the hair, just wherever you want the lights to hit strongest. Here I'm just softening up the shadows all around the skirt, dress. Working in some shadows for the hair to give it some more depth. It seemed a little weak, so now it's a little more three-dimensional. You want to hit the foreshadow area, so that's where it turns into the shadow. Well, that's it for this show. I hope you guys can join me for our next video. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.